Hey everyone, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Mistletoe gift box. Now I have all of my pieces cut out, as should you, and this is a very, very pretty little box featuring some floral elements as well as a beautiful dimensional bow. We're going to start off by doing something simple. We're going to begin by putting together the lid for the box, and you can see this is the main piece here. Let me move some of this out of the way. And just because it wouldn't fit on a single sheet of paper, these two sides we need to put on first. So we're going to start off with these large tabs here. So let's get that glue flowing, nice and easy. And I'm going to spread that glue around, especially out to the very edge of the tab, as usual. And you can actually lay this down flat to begin. And just take one of these pieces, line it up, make sure it's nice and centered, and that it's butting up against that tab. And just press that down into place. Then you can fold it over onto itself, because then you can kind of scooch it up so that it's nice and flush with the main part of the box. Okay, just like that. You can fold it back the other way, and press down there, and then move over to the other tab and repeat the same thing. So I think this would be good for a little scarf, or you could definitely fit a t-shirt in here, a small item of clothing, and well, essentially anything that you think could fit in here. This will definitely be a beautiful way to present that gift. Okay, so we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Get that nice and centered, press it down, and then I'm going to take it and fold it over so that I can kind of scooch it up. And you can feel with your fingers that it's nice and flush. Okay. Now before we wrap this up and actually put it together, I kind of like to work on things flat whenever possible. And you'll notice on this piece that we have a series of markers in the corners. That's for this piece here. This little round piece is actually going to go in between all of these. And it doesn't matter if you do it this way or this way. Just notice that you have a little marker on here. That's going to come in handy later on when we put the mistletoe on. Okay, so let's go ahead. This is a very thick paper. It's almost like a chipboard, actually. Yours may not be as thick, but either way, same size, so it doesn't really matter. But this is probably some of the heaviest cardstock. Actually, I wouldn't even call it cardstock. It's almost like a chipboard, actually. Okay, so we're going to use the little guides here to position this accurately so it's nice and centered. And then take a look at the bottom here and make sure that it's nice and lined up there as well. Press that down into place. Okay, so I just like to do that flat instead of trying to put it on while it's dimensional, because then you can't really press down without potentially destroying the box or the lid. Okay, so that looks good. And now we're just going to take these tabs and glue them to these side sections to finish this up. So let's go ahead and begin by putting glue on the tabs. I'm going to spread those out. Just kind of, you can spread it like this, or actually kind of dabbing it like that creates this little texture in the glue, and that really helps it kind of grab a hold of whatever piece you're putting it on. Okay, you can actually prop that up on your table, press down on the tab. Again, trying to avoid creasing or warping the box whenever possible. Okay, I'll do the same thing on this tab here. There we go. Tuck that in behind this section, line it up, and press that down into place. I'm going to put that down on my surface. There we go. And that just leaves these two tabs to finish it up. Get your glue on there. And do the same thing with that last one to get it all closed up. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that, well, I haven't even started my Christmas shopping yet, but at least I'll have some gift boxes ready to go. So I got that going for me. Okay, and the last tab here, same thing. Just throw a little bit of glue on there and spread that out nice and even across the tab. There we go. And tuck it behind, line it up, and press. There we go. Okay. So our lid is pretty much done. Obviously, you still have to put the little floral element together, which we'll do here in just a moment. And there's also a little bow, a very dimensional bow. Okay, you can see what that looks like. Very nice. Let's take a look at our little mistletoe. And we've kind of got like 2 layers for this. One is just to kind of keep it stiff in some areas. So we're going to need to do some layering here, but I'll show you how that all works in just a second. You'll notice that we've kind of got a 2-tone thing going here. And these are, you'll notice also that we have a numbering scheme on here. This is 3 lines indicating 3. This is 4 little lines in the shape of a square. That's the number 4. Here's the number 1, and here's the number 2. And you'll notice that we also have 4 of these. And this one is going to go with this one. It's going to go behind it. This one's going here. This one is going here. And this one is going here. So that's just to kind of stiffen up the stem. So let's start with any one. It doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and put glue on as much of this as you can out to the little, the very end as well here, the very tips, as far as you can go without overdoing it. I'll lay that down flat and I'll just pop that right on like so. Try to get it nice and centered, and I have a little bit of glue that kind of came out, but it's not really sitting on any paper, so it will eventually just kind of disappear, which is good. Okay, so there we go. And also, one other thing too, you'll notice that each of these little sections has little score marks on each of these petals. What you want to do is just take and put 2 fingers underneath and then press down with 1 finger and then give it a little pinch to make it dimensional. And that just really gives it a little more oomph. Just makes it look nice and more realistic. Okay, so same thing here. Let's put some glue on this piece. I've got ink all over my fingers from all the inking I've been doing today, which actually wasn't even that much, but I was using some what was I using? I was using chalk ink because it was showing up better on this glitter paper that I had. Okay, so just lining that up as accurately as I can. Press that down. Make sure that it's spot on. Okay, and then while I have this in my hand here, I'll just go ahead and pinch these little petals, or these leaves, I should say. Okay, a couple more. Very simple. This one has a little bit more surface area up there at the top. Just make sure you get some glue on that. Okay, line that up at the bottom. There we go. Get that centered. Wonderful. And pinch those leaves. Okay. There we go. And the last one, no big deal, easy peasy. I really don't like saying that, but I just did. Oh well. Okay. There we go. Oops. Really getting my hands dirty today. That's a good sign though. It means you've had a productive day. There we go. Press that down. And just like before, just give those a little pinch like that. This is like a pearlescent paper. It's very shimmery. I'm sure it will photograph beautifully. Okay, now before we construct the bow, I'll show you here. Let me see, this is, yeah, it's just glued down straight. So find the piece with the little Roman numeral 1, and we're going to get that glued down. I want to make sure that it's nice and straight. And we can literally just glue it down right here. Just throw a little bit of glue right on that little circle and pop that right into place, right where that little marker is. And then of course, just give it a visual approval. Make sure that it's going straight up and down. There we go, that looks good. And then we'll take our number 2, throw a little bit of glue on the back of that, and pop that right in place, right on top of the other circle. Again, making sure that you keep it nice and centered. Should be nice and symmetrical. Okay, and find our number 3. Same thing, a little bit of glue on the circle. Pop that right on top. Make sure it's nice and centered. Now we've got the other 2 layers there already, which we're pretty sure we got those centered, so we're going to kind of follow the last 3 layers. And then let's go layer 4. And that's going to go right on top of layer 3, just like that. And then we're going to give this a little bit of time to dry before we do anything else on it. And look how beautiful that looks. That looks awesome. Cool. And then we're going to top that off with a bow, which we can actually put together now. And all we have to do is put the bottom of the box together, which won't be too bad. Okay, so let's grab all the pieces for the bow. And now I'm going to have, this is going to be a little bit more challenging for me, simply because I'm using a very thick, well actually this one, this isn't too bad actually. So little tip here, first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a nice thick dowel, and we're going to take and start giving this a little bit of a curve. So what I want you to do is take and place the dowel between your finger and the piece of paper. I'm sorry, place the paper between your finger and the dowel, then kind of lift it up 90 degrees and then run the dowel through to give it a little bit of a curve. Okay. All right, so next we're going to take and we're going to form the bow like so. Okay, and for this we've got 2 tones here. Now obviously take a look, you've got these sections, they're all the same. The colors are not the same, but we've got different colors here. This is going to go in the center. Once everything is said and done, it's going to go in the top layer. Okay, the back layer, actually, hold on. That's just a tail. It's going to go on both layers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to form the bow. You'll notice that we have a little rectangle here. We're going to put some glue on the rectangle, and I'm just going to hit that with my finger to spread it out on that entire little rectangular shape. You'll notice there's also a little rectangle here in the center. We're going to take this rectangle and place it right on top of the other rectangle and glue that down and press and hold. Okay. Now the reason that we use the dowel to do this is because if you try to just bring it over, you're likely to crease this, and I want it to look nice and round. Okay, so let's grab our glue and put it on the other little rectangle, and I'm spreading this out across that entire rectangle so the whole thing sits nice and flat. We'll bring that right onto the little center rectangle, make sure it's right in the middle there, and just press and hold in place like that. If you want, you can grab a thinner dowel, take it right up to the edge of that little section. Okay, so that is the top part of the bow. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to glue this around like that. Now this is where, if you're using, in my case I'm using like a really thick glitter, maybe a little challenging, but shouldn't be a big deal. Just have to be patient and take your time. And definitely work some of that glue around the little scallops there, around the perimeter so that those don't go anywhere. Okay, you'll see there's a little flat edge here. And we're going to take that flat edge, and that's going to go right up against the little score mark there in the center. So make sure you get that nice and centered. Hold that down and just wrap it around. Make sure it's making contact with the entire white piece here all the way around, and just continue to hold. I'm looking at both sides here, making sure there's no gaps, and then you can actually take your finger and specifically press down on the little scalloped areas just to make sure that those are staying in place. And I would not let this go prematurely. As you can imagine, there's a little bit of tension in there. You want to wait until this really sets before you let go. Okay, so here I go, letting it go, probably sooner than I should, but there it is. Okay, so we'll repeat the same process on the other side, and then we literally have half the bow done. But it is going to be important to get this glue out to the very edges of these little scalloped areas. So let's make sure to do that. Okay, and then just like I did before, we'll take this flat edge, bump it up right against that little rectangle. Make sure you've got it centered before you start applying it. There we go. And then wrap it around, nice and easy. Keep it nice and taut. And there we go. And then kind of like you're making a pie crust, just go around and press down on the little scallop areas to make sure that they are in fact making good contact all the way around. So this is actually my first time making this thing, and I'm actually surprised that how easy it is. It's not that hard. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this larger piece. And as I mentioned, I would take, starting at the center here, grab your big dowel, bring this up, run the dowel through. Maybe do it a couple times. I bought a big box of various sized dowels, and they always come in handy when it comes to making stuff like this. You can fold this out, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put a little bit of glue right on this little rectangle, and I'm just gonna dab that with my finger, and then bring it into the rectangle in the center. Make sure you get that nice and lined up, and press and hold. Okay, give that a few seconds, and we'll throw a few dots on there. I put way too much glue on that. It's okay, I can just spread it around, dab it, and then just get rid of the excess. Wipe your finger off, and then we'll get that nice and centered right onto that other rectangle. Beautiful. And just press and hold. As I mentioned before, whoops, I let it go way too soon. It's got kind of a strange shape to it, so just be patient. And then you can take that dowel and press right up against the very edge there. Okay. And don't worry about if you kind of blemish it a little bit with that dowel. We're going to be covering that up anyway. Okay, so similar to what we did before, we're going to apply this little section on here, just like we did. And you'll notice that the shape is kind of weird. So if you flip it this way, there's a flat edge here. If you align that flat edge with the center, obviously it's not going to wrap around correctly. You can see it's going up too high. So just flip it and just kind of test it before you actually do it to make sure that you're doing it right, and you can see how that wraps around, okay? So you can do the same thing with this. Give it a little bit of a curve. You can even kind of curl it around the paper just to kind of release some of the tension in the fibers that are there. And we're going to do the same thing here. Get that glue out to the little scallops at the very edge. Okay. So I would recommend using, oh, that was kind of messy, using a white piece of cardstock for your base, so that if you do get glue inside of the little holes on the scallops, it doesn't really matter because it won't show through. Okay, so there we go, wrapping it around just like we did, keeping it nice and taut, and then terminating right at the end. and then just going around and kind of, again, making your little pie crust. Just press that into place, be patient. Anytime we try to take a flat piece of paper and turn it into something round, there's always going to be a little bit of resistance, especially with something like this. So just take your time, and there you have it. Okay, so that wasn't bad at all. Not bad at all. And everything is making great contact, so I'm very happy with that. Let me grab my other piece and run that through my dowel and just kind of curl it. I'm going to try to be a little more sparse with the glue here so I don't get big globs inside of these little holes on the tips of the scallops. Scallops. I just had a Homer Simpson moment. Okay, again, make sure you line it up correctly. I'm going to hold it this way. I'm right-handed, so I like to use my dominant hand whenever possible. Line it up, get a feel for the centering on it. That looks good. And wrap it around. Make sure it's nice and taut. Should terminate on the other side perfectly. And let's make that pie crust. Go over to the other side. Okay. Wonderful. So that actually worked out very nicely, and it was not as hard. I didn't think it was going to be hard. I did think it was going to kind of challenge me a little bit, but that was not bad at all. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two pieces and connect them together like this. I'm just going to glue these two sections together. If you have some hot glue, might be a good time to use it. Okay, so let me throw a little hot glue here in the center. Get this other piece glued on. Okay, now we want, actually what we want to do is, this is up, okay? And this one is completely symmetrical, so it doesn't matter. Well, I guess it doesn't matter which way you put it on. You can always flip it around if necessary. Okay, but we want to join them together. When we ultimately place this on our project, it's going to sit like this. Now this is actually bulkier than I wanted it to be, but that's probably because of the thickness of the chipboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of squeeze it together a little bit to flatten it out. And actually, you know what? It's not even creasing it. So that is nice. That is working out really nice. Okay, and then all that's left to do is take this piece and just kind of wrap it around the center. And what we're going to do is just pop it on there and then just take and fold it over. You kind of want two of these in the center. Okay, and then just wrap it around. Make sure you got it centered on the back. And then take the other half and wrap it over. And then what we'll do is just throw a little bit of glue on the back there, on top of that one. Whoops, there's that thing. And then just press that down. Okay, and that will create a nice little center for our bow. And I'll kind of smush that down into place a little bit more once I get it in place. Okay, now we also have a little tail to put on this, and we are also going to take and kind of curve that and train it with a dowel so you can see how it's no longer flat, it's kind of going up. Okay, and with this, the very edge of this is going to line up with the very edge of the tail here, like so. So that's how we need to get that glued into place, which also means that we want to concentrate a little bit of that glue at the very tips of this piece here. So not only do we want to put some glue up here, but especially in this area here. And if you need to, kind of work that with your finger to make sure that you have the glue all the way out to the edge so that it sits nice and flush there. And just line that up with that little V shape there. Make sure it's nicely lined up, and then press that down. And then while you're actually pressing it down, you can kind of also bend it towards you a little bit. As I was pressing that down, I was kind of flattening that piece out a little bit. but we still want to try to maintain a little bit of that curve. Okay, so let's grab the other one and throw a little bit of glue on there. And I'm going to work that glue out to the tip and the edges here, like so. And do the same thing, line it up with that little V shape. Should fit on there perfectly. And then just press the rest of that down. While I'm pressing these together, I am kind of bringing it towards me a little bit, just giving it a slight little curve. Okay, so there's that. And then what we can do is we can put a little bit of glue on the back of this guy. I'm doing hot glue here because I got a bunch of glitter. Scotch is not going to do it for me this time. And again, we want it to look like this. Okay, with this bow higher than the other one. And hopefully that glue didn't dry already. Get that nice and centered and press that into place. There we go. That's it. So the top of the tail portion should be just slightly behind the top of the two bows. Okay, and I do need to kind of press that out, flatten it a bit. There we go. Okay, so this now is ready to get glued to this section here. Okay, so let's take a little bit of hot glue, pop it right on this guy here. Kind of swirl it around so I don't get any of those little wispy, swirly, annoying things on there. Get that nice and centered on there. There we go. Press that into place, like so. And yeah, it's really got some volume to it because of the glitter. So I'm going to have to really squish that down. Okay. Now the final little finishing touches for this guy, I have a little snowflake with a little circle. Okay, and the circle is going to get glued to the snowflake right in the center. So let's do that. Just get that nice and centered. It may kind of spill out outside of the little star shape, and I'm going to put this on after because again I need to work on this a little bit. This glitter's so thick that, but you're going to take and glue that right to the center. And if your star gets kind of folded and it's kind of curling in, that's totally fine. But you're going to want to glue that to the center to hide that little center section. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for later. But that is the lid to the box. Okay, now let's make the actual box. Pretty straightforward. Each section is separated. So what you'll want to do is take and alternate these. Make sure you keep your tabs at the bottom. These are your tabs. Now you're probably wondering why we have this. Well, we can actually fold this in to make it 2 layers thick, but not right now. First thing we need to do is join these all together. So find a long piece and then grab a short piece. Throw some glue on one of these tabs. Okay, spread that out nicely. And I can actually do this flat. Line that up with a short piece, press down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and fold this over onto itself. And you can see this tab here. It should be sitting right on top of the other tab, perfectly flush. And that is a good indicator that you've got it nice and accurately lined up. Okay, so there's that. So now we've got short, long. Let's find another short piece. Keep the tab at the bottom. Okay, let's get our glue on this tab. And spread that out like so. And again, we can line it up flat if we want, just initially, just to make it easier, like that. Press that down. We take it and fold it over onto itself. And again, remember this tab here, and actually this edge as well, should be right on top of that edge. And that means we did a good job. And everything is nice and aligned. Okay, so 3 sections together. Short, long, short. Let's get the last long piece. And we're going to put some glue on this tab. Remember to keep the tabs on the same side. Spread that glue out like so. And take that tab, line it up. Okay. Then we can fold it over onto itself and press that down. Okay. And that is spot on. So now we're just going to go ahead and close it up by joining these two sides together. So let's get our glue on this final tab, like so, and spread that out. There we go. And you can literally lay this down now, grab this other side, and it should meet perfectly if we got everything else aligned. So you can press that down. I'm going to lift it up right at this seam, fold it at that seam there. I can really press down on that. If you have a dowel, you can even use that. Or a brayer, if you have one of those, that's fine too. And now we have ourselves a box. Okay, now another thing we can do here, before we put the bottom on, is just take a little bit of glue, throw it on here, and then we're going to take that and tuck it over onto itself and press that down. Again, that's what's going to make it 2 layers thick on the sides. It's going to make a nice sturdy box. Okay, so let's do the same thing here. Just doing kind of a little squiggly. Take it and fold it onto itself. Use your table if you want. Kind of push down on the very corners there. Same thing here, and the last one as well. Fold that over, press down, and that will actually help it kind of keep its shape while we put the bottom on. So that's kind of a 2-fold thing. And the last one, you can feel how nice and sturdy it is. Great little box. There we go. Press that down. Wonderful. Okay. All right, so now all that's left to do, you notice we have these 2 pieces here, and one has a little L on it in the corner. That's our liner. That's going to go inside the box. But this is the bottom. And what we're going to start by doing is putting glue on just one tab so that we can anchor this piece down. So that's going to make the rest of it a lot easier. And again, get that glue spread out on that entire tab out to the edge, nice and thin. And then take this piece, the bottom, the one that does not have the L on it, and line that up right up against the edge, nice and centered, like so. Okay, then you can actually flip that down and press down on the tab from the inside. Continue to press that down. You can see the little tab there. Now it's time to close it up. Okay, so you can actually pull that back a little bit, and we're going to put glue on the remaining 3 tabs. I'm going a little bit heavier here because I've got a lot of surface area to work on, and I need time to spread that glue out. Okay, so let's do that. Let's spread that glue out nicely to the very edge on all 3 of these tabs. You don't have to do this, but I mean, you could just put the glue on there and close it up, but it's not going to look nice and clean. Okay, so bring this down and focus on aligning it with this side first, because the other 2 sides will kind of naturally fall into place if you do that. There we go. And then press down on the remaining sides here. If you need to kind of push the wall in a little bit, that's fine, but continue to run your finger along the very edge so that we don't have any gaps in the seams here. And if we do, it's okay. I think I'm going to have one here. I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. I have ink all over my fingers. Sorry about that. It happens. Okay, so as I mentioned, I am going to need to clean this up a little bit. If you find that you have some gaps, you can see I have a little gap right there. I don't like that. I'm going to clean it up. Throw a little bit of glue on a scrap piece of paper like this, and just tuck it in between the two layers and kind of paint some of that glue on there, and then just press and hold it down for just a few seconds, and then you can see that seam just disappeared. And I got a big old seam over here. I don't know what happened over here. Probably not enough glue, and it's okay. Just take it and just paint that glue on there and press that down into place. Just need to continue holding that down for just a few moments. Just be patient with it. Just like that. Okay, so that's really it. I'm going to take and add some bling to my mistletoe. Let's take a look. Oh, that's not it. Still got one more thing to do here. Just take and put a little bit of glue around the perimeter on these tabs, a little bit on the inside, and then take your liner, pop it in there just to finish that off so it looks nice, and it also will make it a little bit stronger. Okay, that's that. And there's your box. Beautiful. Okay, so as I mentioned, a couple pearls here on these little circular areas on the mistletoe, and maybe some rhinestones in the corner. And don't forget, again, I need to kind of bring this down. I might be using a little bit of hot glue to hold that down because this paper's so thick. But don't forget to put your little snowflake in the center, and that's it. That's it for the mistletoe gift box, guys. Hope this one comes in handy. Hope your recipients love not only the box, but obviously whatever gift you put inside of it. But if you make this, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you could just type in this little URL here. And if you enjoyed this video, please visit us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product. So anyway, all done here. I will see you at the next one, and I look forward to crafting with you soon. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.